Welcome everybody to this month's digital training experience. I am so excited that you are here with me. Now, if this is your first time, we do hold a monthly class for free here. So make sure you tell all your friends about it. And today we have a very special topic. We're going to be talking about the 10 steps for a profitable real estate career. And we are in the middle of a shift, you guys. So this could not be a more important topic. So I'm glad that you're here today. If we haven't met, my name is Amber Joy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Influential Agent. I'm a realtor of over 20 years, mom of 4, real estate coach, and I am here to bring you all the good data from both our experience and top agents all over the country. If we haven't already, I would love to connect with you on social media. If you have questions after the class or you're watching the replay of this, you can connect with me on social media. Send me a DM and I'm happy to get connected. I love making new real estate besties. So welcome everybody. Let's move over to the chat real quick and see who's watching. Hey Ed, welcome. We've got some really good content for you guys today. Let's go ahead and dive in. One of the reasons we're talking about this topic today is because, you guys, every market is cyclical, right? What goes up must come down. And we are in a shift right now. It's not that it's coming, it's already here. And the fact is that NAR, National Association of Realtors, has its highest membership count that it has ever had. Let's take a look at this at over 1.5 million, almost 1.6 million National Association of Realtor members. Now, there's close to 3 million licensees in the United States alone, but that's how many are members of NAR. Now, that's a 58% increase from 2012 when there was only 1 million realtors. That is huge, you guys. So competition is bigger than it's ever been, right? Because of the numbers we're seeing. And frankly, this is your reality. This is your dose of reality today. What got so many of you having record-breaking years over the last few years, or maybe it wasn't record-breaking, but it was really good for you? Well, what got so many of you there in the last few years is going to seemingly disappear overnight because of the shift that we are in. And frankly, you guys, there's going to be a major cleanup of realtors in our association. I'm predicting that at least a third of the agents will leave and give up their licenses. Some experts are predicting by the next 3 years that 50% of the agents will be leaving the industry. Now, why do I tell you that? It's not to give fear. It's to give the reality check that it's only the people that are treating their business like a business and doing the things that we're going to be discussing in today's class that are going to thrive and don't have to worry about a cleanup. You don't have to worry about it. That's why you are here. And all you need to do as an agent is follow a proven blueprint so that you not only survive, but that you thrive in this shift, but also in any market, okay? So there's 10 steps for a profitable real estate career. So get out your notebooks. We're going to fly at a really fast pace today because I have to cover 10 points in only an hour, which is, for me, it's going to be challenging, but I'm committed to do that. So I'm going to leave the questions for the very end. So I want to respect your time in case a lot of you have appointments after this. So feel free to ask questions throughout, but I'll be getting to those at the end of the presentation so that I can fly through this. But I love hearing from you guys in the comments. Ed's from Austin. Nice. Okay. Very good. Okay. So I know we have people watching from all over the world. Hey, Denise, I see you on here too. Welcome. All right, let's get right into it, you guys. Let's get started. All right, out of the 10, let's start with number 1, of course, which is treat your business like a business. Now, this one might seem like a no-brainer, but most agents think of themselves as just that, a real estate agent. And I need you to switch your mindset to you are not just a realtor, okay? You are a business owner. When you became a realtor, you opened up a business, and helping people buy and sell homes happens to be the vehicle. But in essence, your mindset should be that you are a real estate entrepreneur. And so most agents are not thinking that way. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, we could do a class just on each one of these 10, but I'm going to give you the big picture of each one of these and some things to be thinking about, okay? If you are treating your business like a business, then you're going to have some things like goals in writing each year. You know what your business hours are. You know who your ideal client avatar is that you're trying to attract. You have a unique value proposition, or some call it a unique selling proposition. You time block your calendar and treat your business like a business. Think about those business owners who own a restaurant, for example. They spend a lot of time on scheduling and making sure everything's going to work great. Well, we should be doing the same in our business and really taking advantage and making the most of our time. Are you time blocking? Okay. Do you track and know your numbers? Meaning you're tracking your lead generation numbers. What we say is that you have to inspect what you expect. So you know your lead generation numbers, you know what numbers you need to hit in order to get the number of closings you want to have. But when I say you know your numbers, you also know your real estate numbers, you know your market numbers, things like that. Do you have an accountant? Are you doing your taxes? I mean, I could go on and on and on. These are just a few of the things, but this is a wake-up call for if we've just been coasting by in the past, it's time to really hone in on our skills of being a real estate entrepreneur and treating our business like a business. And that means showing up whether we feel like it or not. I remember when I first got my license and I came into the office all eager beaver at like 8 a.m. and the doors were locked at the real estate company. I'm like, what the heck? Where is everybody? And so 8:30, they unlocked the doors, but most of the agents didn't come in till like 10 or noon. And I'm like, what the heck? We've got to treat our business like a business and show up, because guess what? We had to do that when we had corporate jobs, right? Or whatever job we had before real estate. But all of a sudden, when we're the ones benefiting from the profit, when we're the one building a dream empire, we don't always show up for ourselves. Why is that? That's not going to cut it in a shift. And it's time to get back to the mindset of being a real estate entrepreneur and treating our business like a business. Again, this could be its own class with so many different slides, but we're going to leave that at that. We're going to leave that there, okay? All right, number 2 is lead generation. You've got to make lead generation a daily, non-negotiable habit. The agents that do this are going to thrive because most agents are not disciplined enough to do this. Now, you might be thinking, Amber, what do I do during my lead generation time? So I'm going to quickly cover for you. I typically lay out an hour and a half of lead gen every single day. Sometimes 2 hours. A lot of agents are setting aside 3 hours. You have to gauge how long it takes you. I used to have to set aside 3 hours, but now I'm a lot better and faster at my activities because I've been doing them for so many years. So I've got it down to an hour and a half of focused time. And it is time blocked on my lead generation calendar, on my Google Calendar, and I fiercely protect it. Okay, you should treat your lead gen time like it's a listing appointment. You aren't going to just move around a listing appointment, are you? No, so you won't move your lead gen time too. If you're in the habit of moving that around or not making it a daily commitment, then you're probably like I used to be, where you're on that real estate roller coaster where I've got a lot of closings and then you panic at the closing table because you've got no closings and you're starting from scratch because when you got busy, you weren't lead generating. And that is a stressful roller coaster to be on. Of you have closings, you don't have closings. In order to have a consistent pipeline full of leads, which lead to closings, and to be recession proof, daily lead generation time has got to be a non-negotiable habit in your career. Okay, so if you're looking at, what do I do during my lead gen time? I do what's called the 3x5. Okay. The first 30 minutes of my time, I'm going to connect with at least 5 sphere members. I've gotten this to 10 now because my sphere is larger. I've got to connect with them at least quarterly. So I'm going to connect with 10. You can start with 5. But there's nobody more important than my sphere. So I'm going to spend that time relationship building with them first. The second half hour is going to be growing my sphere list, networking, meeting new people, at least 5 a day. And that doesn't have to be in person, you guys. A lot of that can be via online, connecting with a new vendor. There's so many different ideas there, and that's a different class. And that third 30 minutes of time is going to be reaching out to at least 5 past leads, because what you've got to understand is not every lead is going to convert immediately. A matter of fact, not very many leads are going to convert immediately. So we have got to be diligent in continuing to follow up with those. So you see how I'm relationship building in my lead gen time with Sphere. Then I'm growing the list by meeting new people. And then in that third time, I am actually nurturing past leads. So I'm kind of covering everything in that lead generation time. So I hope that helps you guys. Hopefully you're screenshotting that and making that a non-negotiable part of your lead generate is to lead generate. Okay. So I'd like to ask you guys, let me know in the comments, out of the first 2, is there anything you need to take action on? Is there anything you need to write down that like, oh, I know that, but I kind of got away from that and I need to strengthen that, or I never did that in the first place and I need to do that? Go ahead and write those things down as we're already through the first 2 points so that you can keep yourself on track. Oh, we've got somebody, Latresa, hello from College Station. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, let's move on to point number 3, and that is focus on your sphere of influence. And here is why. The number one mistake I see agents making, and my husband is the co-founder of Influential Agent, the Rook, or Jason, as I know him. And he and I both have consulted with thousands of agents over the years. And one of the number one mistakes we see them making is not spending enough time on their sphere and past clients. And instead, most agents spend their time going after new leads and ignore the people with whom they've already built trust and are raving fans. They're kind of going after that shiny penny, so to speak. Now, here's a shocking statistic from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. 91% of realtors never contact the buyer or seller after the closing. What? How is this possible, you guys? They're not focusing on their sphere. That proves they're going after those shiny new pennies, right? Now, let me tell you why this mistake is so detrimental to your business and is definitely going to be detrimental in a shift. Take a look at this. Burn this into your brain, right? Most agents are at the top here. They're on the pipelines. You see these different pipelines. They're going after shiny pennies. They're trying a new idea. But here's the thing, although there's nothing wrong with having multiple pipelines of leads, and I think you should, when they convert, where do they lead to? Right? They lead to your MET database, okay? Also known as your sphere of influence. So if you are ignoring your sphere, that is the foundation to your business. And that's a huge mistake. And what you're doing is you're spending all that time on those upper pipelines or funnels, whatever you want to call them. And it's like pouring water into a pitcher with holes in it, because if it leads down to the bottom and you're not communicating with those people at all, then you are probably an agent who's feeling burnt out, who's feeling stressed out about where their next paycheck is coming from because the foundation to their business is falling apart. And that's because you don't have a solid sphere marketing system. It's because you haven't talked to your sphere in forever. That is detrimental to your business. Okay. Here's some other things I want you to consider when it comes to putting your sphere of influence first. It's a fact that it's always easier to convert a warm lead, or what I call a sphere referral, any day than a cold lead. As a matter of fact, here is a statistic for you. The average agent only has a 2% chance of converting a cold call into an appointment. Moral of the story is stop making cold calls and focus on your sphere instead. I hear so many people say, I don't have time, Amber. You can't afford not to. You're wasting your time on the 2% and ignoring the people that are already raving fans. Aha. Focus on your sphere. Also, it costs more money to not focus on your sphere. It costs 5 to 7 times as much to get a new customer as it does to just get a referral from an existing one. So it's cheaper to work with your sphere. Here's another fact. If your sphere is 500 people, statistically, each of them knows 100 people. That means there are 50,000 opportunities for real estate referrals in that one category. And yet, 91% of agents aren't contacting them. 50,000 opportunities. Isn't that awesome? All right, here's another fact. 15% of the people you know are moving this year. 15%. But 100% of the people you know knows someone who's moving this year. Another statistic that just came out is 12% of your sphere is looking to buy a vacation home, investment property, second home property, rental, those kind of things. So those are some big, big opportunities. Okay. So that's some good stuff, you guys. And we've got to take advantage of that. All right. Now, I'm all about the numbers, right? Because statistics, I'm going to use those to my advantage to know where to put my time in order to make the money. So let's look at your gross commission income potential when you focus on your sphere. Okay. So if your sphere is 500 people, and feel free to pause this if you're watching the replay and do your own math. I encourage you to, but let's, for the class purposes, move on. Your sphere size is 500. Put in your own sphere size in your calculator. If 20% of them send you a referral, which is what you're capable of when you have a really good sphere marketing system and your relationship building with your sphere, that's 100 hot leads a year from just your sphere. Now, let's be really conservative and say that only half of those converted. Okay, that's 50 sales a year just from your sphere of influence. Now, if you were to take 50 times your average commission, that is the potential of what you could make if you really put some focus on your sphere of influence. In my area, what the average commission is and the average sales price, that means for me, by just focusing on my sphere, my potential is over $900,000 in gross commission income per year with those numbers. Now, you do your own numbers. Not only is this your potential, but can I tell you, this is actually the consequence of what you don't get when you don't focus on your sphere. So you can see how important, like I'm spending more time on this one than any other one for a reason, okay? Because this is the thing I'm so passionate about, and it's the thing that will give you freedom. Okay, so I just have to talk about it, and it's so important. And although these numbers seem like a no-brainer, let's take a look. Studies reveal, and this is by another study that was done by Tom Ferry, that only 4% of agents stay in touch with past clients, friends, and relatives, which is your sphere. Combine that with a 91% that don't ever contact a buyer or seller after closing. It is mind-blowing. So while these numbers seem like a no-brainer, agents aren't doing it. Okay? Here is another crazy number. 91% of your current and past clients say that they'll be happy to give you a referral, right? But only 11% of agents ever ask for the referral. So you need to focus on your sphere. You need to have a great marketing system to to have in place so that you're not missing out, so that the foundation to your business is not crumbling in front of you. Okay. You don't want a business built on sand. You want a business built solidly with a sphere system. But how many of you are in the boat where you're like, Amber, I get it. Thank you for reminding me that sphere is where it's at. But I haven't talked to some of my sphere in 9 years or 2 years or whatever it might be. I have some resources that I'm going to tell you how to take advantage of at the end. And one of those resources that you can have at the end of today's class, or you'll have access to, is the Ultimate Reconnect scripts. Now, this I put together because I wanted you to have a script to be able to reconnect with people in your sphere that you haven't talked to in a long time, but without sounding salesy. Let me know in the comments how many of you feel like, I don't want to reach out. I feel like I sound salesy, or I feel like I'm bothering them. If you have that concern, this is the resource book for you. I also have another resource that is going to be the formula that we use. It's a whole nother class on what is the exact formula that we use and we teach all of our coaching clients to use to make sure that they are getting that 20% referrals. And we cannot be using the same marketing that was out 20 years ago. So we have a complete class on all the things we do with our sphere to make sure that we are generating continuous referrals without paying for a single lead. So those are some resources for number 3. Okay, let's move on, you guys, to number 4. Let me just check the chat real quick. How do we got going on? We got Melanie. Hey. Yep. James says, blew my mind when my mentor told me that I need to focus on my sphere, and it's working. Awesome, James. I'm so glad for you. Yeah, consider this, you guys. The National Association of Realtors says that 70% of an agent's income will come from their sphere of influence, but yet the other stats show we're not contacting them. What that tells me is we've got some agents that aren't making a lot of money. Okay, that are probably stressed out right now. So I'm glad you're here to take advantage of these resources so that that person is not you, that you are not that agent. All right, let's move on to number 4. You guys are doing great in the chat. Thank you so much for that. Number 4 is reward your top referrers. Okay. Now, this is important because what you're doing in number 3 is working really hard to get referrals from your sphere of influence. So when they actually send you a referral, you want to make sure that you have some kind of reward system for those referrals, because there's no better place to spend your time and money than on the people who are sending you referrals and supporting your business. I see agents all the time that have $5,000 ads in magazines that only show up one time in people's mailbox, but yet they have no customer appreciation program going. So what you want to do with your sphere is make sure that you're connecting, that you're contributing to their lives. And then the next step is rewarding those people that are sending you referrals. That's what this is. That's what this step is all about. Now, our way of doing that is by starting a customer appreciation program where, or we call it a VIP program. And this is a whole nother class, you guys, but there are 3 components to a really good VIP program. And this is what we do. And that first component is just showing passionate reciprocity. And basically all that means is if you expect somebody to send you a referral, are you doing the same? So for example, the people that are supporting you, those VIPs, do you know what all of them do for a living? And could they benefit from referrals? And are you actively trying to give them referrals? If you don't know the answer to that, and you don't have that formally in a system, then how can you expect them to remember you for referrals? Because people want to be appreciated, okay, when they send those to you. So it's that law of reciprocity. That's step number 1. And because what's the fastest way to get a referral is to give a referral, right? Okay, the second step is by having proactive relationships. Now, you want to have a proactive relationship with your entire sphere, but your VIPs, that should be next level, baby. That should be like, those are the creme de la creme relationships that you are putting at the top of the list, right? Because they're putting you at the top of the list. You need to do the same. And then the third component, you guys, that we give is unexpected appreciation gifts. Say goodbye to pop buys, outdated pop buys. Sorry. Instead, we're sending out instead of to our whole sphere, just focusing on those special VIPs and sending quarterly unexpected appreciation gifts because they're in that customer appreciation program. So when you implement those three, and again, that could be a whole separate class with tons of information, but this is something that you should be implementing into your business right away. Okay. Let me know in the comments how many of you have started your own VIP program. I'd like to know. I'd like to know. Okay, as you guys are typing into the comments, though, let's check and see where we're at. Number one, treat your business like a business. Number two, make sure that daily lead generation is a non-negotiable habit. Number three, focus on your sphere of influence. They're the foundation to your business. Number four, make sure you have a formal system in place to reward those that are sending you referrals. All right, how are we doing in the chat, guys? Hey, Jill, Sesame has the same exact thought. Okay, well, you're going to love those downloads then. Hey, Queen Bee. All right. Thanks for joining me, you guys. All right, let's move on to number 5, shall we? Number 5 is to grow your sphere list. And now, here's a fact. If your list does not grow, then neither does your business. One of the things that I need you to have as a mindset as a real estate entrepreneur is your database list is the most valuable thing you own as a realtor. Okay, think about it. When somebody retires and sells their business, where's the value? What are they actually selling? Well, they're not selling themselves because they're retiring. What they're selling is their list. They're selling their database, right? So that's the most valuable thing you own. And yet most realtors don't either have one or it's disorganized. And the most important people on your list are the sphere because they're going to convert way higher. We're looking at a 1 in 50 conversion for your regular Met database, whereas we are looking at a 1 in 6 conversion for your sphere, which is why it's okay if your whole list grows, but the most important thing to grow is the sphere side of your database list because that, my friend, as you've seen, is already where it's at, okay? So you can have a really great marketing system. Let's say you're just like killing it. You went to number 3 and you're like, I am doing better at this. I am so good at connecting with sphere. You can have the best system ever, but if the list doesn't grow and the size of it doesn't grow, you're eventually going to hit a ceiling of how much gross commission income you can make. So that's why it's so important that this was in its own number because you've got to grow it and it's got to be a part of your everyday business. Okay, you guys are doing great. We are now to some suggestions on how to do that. So if number 5 is to grow your sphere list, a way to do that is to establish multiple pipelines of leads. Now, those pipelines are at the top like we talked about. Now, we also talked about how that sphere is the foundation and nothing is more important than that. But once you've got that up and running, the way to grow that sphere list is by having other pipelines of leads. Now, for some of you, this could be open houses. How many of you, let me know in the comments, are doing open houses? That is a form of lead generation, right? That could be one of your pipelines of how you're meeting new people. Now, when you do that, let me just do you a quick reminder here. There's 3 ways to win at an open house, and most agents are only considering 2 of them. The first way to win is you meet somebody that wants to buy the house or buy something else and you get a new client. The second way to win is selling that house. Okay, or maybe they come in and they want to list their house with you because they see what a great marketer you are. That's what we typically are looking for at an open house. But where you're missing out is the third category of they're not a buyer, they're not a seller, but if I relationship build with them and meet a new person and then put them in my database, that's a win because that is a future referral, okay? Because I have added a name to my database, my sphere database, because I've met them, I want to do future business with them, and I'm going to invest time in them from now on. That is also a win because we need leads not just now, we need leads always. Right? So that is a win that we've got to keep in mind. So when you are doing your database here, and you're thinking about ways to grow your pipelines, you need to really base these on your personality style. So God gifted each one of us with strengths and weaknesses. You need to look at what your strengths are and build lead sources around those strengths. So if you're a people person, maybe you're going to go to networking events. Maybe you are going to maybe you're going to do open houses. If you're an introvert, maybe you're going to do LinkedIn, you're going to do some Facebook ads. Whatever those strengths are, find some ways to generate and meet new people that will be your ideal client. Okay? Think about who your ideal client is and think about where are those people hanging out, and those should be your pipelines of leads. Okay? But base it on your personality. Now, I have another resource that I'll tell you how to get at the very end of the class, and it's what's called the 150 Lead Source Guide. I love this guide because it's going to give you 150 ideas of how you can meet new people, how you can network, how you can add your ideal client avatar to your sphere of influence, and then it'll ask you to pick some of them at the end and do an exercise so that you are building that sphere list. So 150 different ideas in this guide. I love it. And remember though, the first lead source is always going to be your sphere. Then you can choose some other ones, but sphere is what everyone has as number one. That's not a choice. That just is what it is. And my tip is when you are building this, build one at a time. Don't try to build. I mean, if you're like me, you're like, nope, I'm building 5 at once. Well, I fail when I try to do that because what happens is you get overwhelmed with the amount of work you're trying to do, and it's all watered down because you're inconsistent. So start building one at a time. And then once that's built and you're still marketing to your sphere and that pipeline, then you can add another one. Okay, one habit at a time, so to speak. Okay, number 6, you guys, is super important, and that is be stellar at follow-up. Okay, you've got to be the boss of follow-up. And here's why, okay? Here's a follow-up statistic for you. The average conversion rate in real estate is 1.7%. What? 1.7%, okay? And here's why I think the average conversion rate is only 1.7%. And by the way, in top agents, it was still only 10%, okay? So if we take a look at that, I think the reason why is because of this next stat. It can take upwards of 6 contacts to make initial contact, okay, with a new lead, because we're not talking about sphere here, we're talking about new leads. And on average, a deal requires at least 8 to 9 points of contact. Now, these are brand new statistics, okay? I think this is why we're seeing low conversion rates. Because if we need to make on average 8 to 9 points of contact in order to convert a lead, but yet most agents are only doing 2, you can see why 1.7 is our average. Let me know in the comments if any of these stats are blowing your mind, okay? I know for me, I'm a stats gal, and the reason is if I know what bar to hit, if I know where I'm supposed to be, I'm going to hit it. But if I don't know where the bar is, I'm just all over the place. So I love having stats because then I know what the bar is. So here, one more time, you guys can screenshot these if you want. It takes upwards of 6 contacts just to make an initial conversation. But it actually takes 8 to 9 points of contact to convert. And if that's the case and most agents are only doing 2, we see where we can improve, right? Also, there's another stat that 45% of agents make only 1 attempt to follow up with a lead. 1 attempt, but yet it takes 8 to 9. That is why our conversion rate is low. Now, here's the good news, you guys. You now have the data. You know how to fix the problem. There's been another statistic that 80% of all leads convert between the 5th and 12th contact. Well, if that's the case, I know around here at Influential Agent, we're going to have 12 follow-ups for every new lead, every lead type, because I want to be converting those 80%. 80% convert between the 5th and 12th contact. So the moral of the story, guys, is unless that person tells you, stop contacting me, then keep going. I know for me, before I knew these statistics, I used to, after 3 contacts, throw that lead away and go after a new lead. I was missing out on 80% because I thought they just didn't need me if they're not responding after 3 contacts. And the reality is, it's not that they don't need you, it's that they don't need you right now. 80% convert between the 5th and 12th contact. So let's keep going, okay? The fortune is in the follow-up, and as we can see from the statistics, most agents aren't doing it. This is a key point of what you have to add to your business to recession-proof, to be profitable. Follow up with the leads. Another good news is you don't have to have a ton of leads. You just need to follow up more with the ones you already have. Man, that is good news. That'll preach right there, y'all. Okay. The fortune's in the follow-up. Now, here's just a couple quick tips. When following up with new leads, okay, we're not talking about Sphere right now. We're talking about new leads, new pipeline of leads. When following up, here's a couple other statistics. Deals are 127% more likely to close when video is used at any point during the sales process. Video converts, you guys. What happens with video is there's a real soul. There's a person attached. When you're just sending text over, whether it's by email or just trying to call, people aren't answering their phones. Okay? When's the last time your phone rang and you looked at it and you were like, oh, perfect timing, and you answered it? Plus, especially from a number they don't recognize because this is not your Sphere. They're not answering their phone. Instead, send video. Use video because there's a real soul attached. It's hard to reject you when they see it's actually attached to a real person. Okay, that works. Okay, here's another one. So make sure video is included in your follow-up systems. And here's another stat. The highest response rate of communication with consumers is a text at 97% response rate. So we see that we need to include text. We need to include text in our follow-up systems. And guess what? 98% of texts are opened. Do you smell what I'm cooking? Okay, so follow up a lot and make sure that you include video and text in that follow-up system for maximum conversion. But if you want to beat out the other agents, just follow up more. Just follow up more. Okay, this is good stuff. I mean, how are y'all doing? Are you guys doing okay? Hopefully you're taking lots of notes. Hey, Veronica, thank you so much. I appreciate that kind comment. All right, let's keep going because we're on fire now. We're not going to stop now. I was just curious, though, before we move on to the next one, what are your ahas so far in this class? Let me know in the comments. All right, and as you guys are writing down, let's move on to number 7, which is get leverage. Get some leverage, you guys. And what does that mean? You need to get help, right? What's one of the biggest problems in real estate overall is not just finding the closings. It's actually, now that I have the closings, I'm feeling burnt out, okay? Or I'm not taking care of myself. You guys, I am guilty. I gained 50 pounds when I became a top agent. Now I've lost 30 of that, still have a little bit more to go. But what happens is you start putting yourself on the back burner because you're so busy and you don't have leverage in your life. You don't have people helping you, okay? And in order to really build a quality life, you have got to have leverage. Because what's the point of being a top agent and making a ton of gross commission income if you have to get divorced because you never see your spouse, if your kids barely know who you are, if your health is tanking because you're working all the time and you have no quality of life? What's the point in any of it? So leverage is something that every agent needs to make a point to have in their life. Okay. Now, when I say leverage, what do most of you think of? Most agents, when I say leverage, think about being on a team. Being on a team. And while there's nothing wrong with having a team, I think that teams are great. I also think that most agents start a team way too soon. And most agents have no business starting a team. They think that that's the answer to getting leverage. And in fact, can I tell you, you might be even, if you start a team too soon, you might be creating an even bigger problem. Now you have to have double and triple the amount of leads you had before because you're splitting it all with a team. And so you may be compounding issues and not good ones. And while teams are definitely needed at certain points, most agents are not at that point. Okay. Instead, here is what I want you to be thinking about. And it's this number 60-40. 60-40. Okay. Now, this study came out a while back. I love it. 60% of what an agent does in their day-to-day realtor life is some form of administrative work. 40% of what you do is actually sales or dollar productive activity. Now, if you can just grasp what I'm telling, if you can just smell what I'm cooking here for a second, this is going to be a major breakthrough for some of you. Okay? Because imagine instead of bringing on a buyer's agent and splitting half the commission and now feeling responsible for someone else and their livelihood and having to all of a sudden double and triple your lead intake in order to do that, and that's what you thought you had to have, but actually now you have more stress than ever, why don't you grasp onto the 60-40 rule first? Because studies show that actually an agent needs first a transaction coordinator, then you'll graduate to an assistant, then you can actually graduate to a second assistant before you actually need buyer's agents, before you're actually ready to start a team. And yet most people are not doing that. But if you're looking at the 60-40 rule, imagine this. If 60% of your time could be delegated to someone else because it doesn't require you as the agent, you can leverage that out. Now, I realize you can't leverage that all at once. Some of you are going to have to lead with revenue, and maybe it's not affordable at this time to hire an assistant. You start small, like with a transaction coordinator, okay? But if you could get 60% of the stuff off of your plate, here's my question. If you could get 60% of that stuff off your plate to an admin, or it might be multiple people, and you're just stuck doing the dollar productive activities, which is really where you're making the money anyway, and that's 40% of your time. Imagine how much freedom you get when you got 60% off your plate. Hallelujah. Okay, come on. Now, what if you divided that 60% up and 20% of that time you did more lead gen? You just took your business up 20% in GCI. What if you took another 20% of that time and spent it dating your spouse and spending time with your kids? What if you spent the other 20% of that 60% that you have left in the pie and you went on some vacations that you haven't been taking? You had a little me time, maybe a little spa time, and yet your GCI is just growing because you're focused on dollar productive activities now. Do you see how powerful that is? This is good stuff, you guys. That is where the freedom lies, is in getting leverage. So I want you to make it a point to be always looking for talent. Start where you can, because if you've ever said, well, Amber, I don't have time to lead generate. Well, that means you're not leveraging out the non-dollar productive tasks, or you're not disciplined with your time, or both. It's not that you don't have time to lead generate. You're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. So if you've ever said this, which I'm guilty of, you need to stop and take a look at, no, what is my biggest priorities? How can I spend more time on dollar productive activities? And if it's not a dollar productive activity, meaning lead gen, buyer appointments, seller appointments, negotiating contracts, and adding people to your sphere, those are dollar productive. Everything else can be leveraged out. And you should do it as quickly as possible. Okay, that's where freedom is at. That is where the freedom is at. All right, let's go over to the chat. James says, I'm liking this leverage. Let's go. Yes, James. And the goal is 13 for follow-up. Here's some ahas coming in. Calendar blocking for self-care. I like that, Queen V. Bernie says using videos. Love it. Sarah's saying get text 97% response rate. Yes. Thank you, Kevin. All right. You guys are doing so good. Thank you so much for your comments. All right, let's keep going, guys. We are now at number 8. We're in the home stretch. Number 8 is hold your expenses accountable, okay, in your business. Most agents have no idea what they're spending until they do their taxes. That is the reality. How many of you have been there, done that? You had no idea how much you were spending till you went to find the expenses so you could deduct them on your yearly taxes. And I'm going to tell you, in a shift, that is not going to cut it. Here's what we're looking to do. I want you to, I'm going to put this at full screen, go through all your expenses for the last 12 months, but especially your current expenses are the most important. And I want you to keep expenses that bring you a big return on investment. And I want you to cancel whatever you don't need in order to help your business run efficiently, and whatever you don't need to keep your customers happy. Then take your remaining expenses, negotiate those as low as you can, except payroll, okay? For those of you that do have an assistant that's really talented, it's not fair to that assistant that you're not doing enough lead generation to cut their pay, okay? You need them. You need leverage. We just covered that. You can't afford to lose that person. So I'm not talking about negotiating them, right? And I'm not even saying cut your expenses. What most agents are doing right now is they're hearing all this stuff on the news and they're hearing doom and gloom, and even me saying that a third of you are going to get out of the industry, and you're cutting all expenses, including marketing. And that is not what I'm saying to do. As a matter of fact, what you're doing is creating a bigger problem for yourself. When you need closings, you can't just stop all marketing. How do you think that you're going to get closings? Okay? What I'm saying is, cut the expenses that are not bringing you a return on investment. And how do you know? The only way to know is to track it. Now, let me give you one quick example. Let's say you're getting a return on investment, but it's a small one. Okay? Ask yourself 2 questions. 1, is this investment attracting my ideal client? And 2, if I was to take the same amount of money and put it in a different activity, would there be a higher return on investment in a different category? Okay, be real strict where you're spending the money. This is important. All right. Lastly, I encourage you guys to, as part of treating your business like a business, read the Profit First book for real estate agents. I'm going to have Shelby put this comment in the comment section, but this is a great book for realtors on how to transform your real estate agency from a cash-eating monster to a money-making machine. And there's some really good stuff in here about how to put profit first and make sure that you are always making money. So I highly suggest you getting that. We're going to give you a link to Amazon where you can pick that up. It's a goodie. All right. All right. So let me know in the comments how you guys are doing. Let's get to a checkpoint. We have gone through 8 now. Number 1, treat your business like a business. 2, make daily lead gen part of your non-negotiable habits. Focus on your sphere, reward referrals, grow your sphere list, be the boss of follow-up, get leverage, and hold your expenses accountable. You guys are doing awesome. We have 2 more to cover so far, but let me know. You should be writing down in your notebooks now or on your phone in your notes, however you're taking notes. Out of these 8, what areas do you need to take action? Where are you falling short? And then create an action plan around it. Okay, let's get to number 9, and that is get a coach. Hire a coach. Even in a shift, even in a time when you are cutting expenses, a coach has never been more important. Here's the truth. Success does not come from what you do occasionally, but from what you do consistently. Blah, that was a mouthful. And for most of us, including myself, in order to do the things that we're learning today in this presentation, you're going to need accountability. Because if we could hold ourselves accountable, we'd already all be where we wanted to be. We'd already be smashing those goals, right? And what got you from point A to point B is not always what will get you from point B to point C. And you need someone to help open up your mind. You need someone to help you with skills. And you definitely need someone to help you with accountability. Okay? Because we say this in the sales is what was your floor will eventually become your ceiling. And a coach is what helps you bust through each of those ceilings as you're getting higher and higher. Here's a reason why accountability is so important and why you can't afford to not have it. The American Society of Training and Development studied accountability and found that if you have a specific accountability appointment with a person that you've committed to, you will increase your chance of success by 95%. That is huge. I know for me and my husband, there's never been a time that we don't have a coach. Matter of fact, our coach, because of where we're at in our career, we paid $60,000 last year for our coach. It was like probably the biggest investment we've ever made for coaching. But the return on investment was there. We actually made decisions and pivots in our business because of that coaching that allowed us to make a lot. Okay, which more than justified the $60,000. So you can't afford to not have a coach. Okay, it's so important in busting through those new ceilings, especially in a time. The other reason you need a coach, you guys, is stinking thinking is contagious. When you are out and about and you have other agents around you that are hurting, and a lot of them are, that is contagious. And some of that stinking thinking and negativity can quickly get onto you. And you need a coach and you need community, both like a coach and community that's pulling you up. A rising tide rises all boats. And you need to make sure that you are in a mindset that is going to keep you moving forward so that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. My dad always says, we don't want to live miracle to miracle. We want to live glory to glory. And that requires a certain community. That requires a certain mindset. Okay. And so having that is invaluable to your business. Okay. We are now on the last point. Okay. So get a coach. And for some of you that are liking what you're hearing today, I would love to also be one of the ones you interview to coach, by the way. All right. For our next point, you guys, last but not least is number 10. And this is one of my favorites. And that is to give back. You guys are like, what does that have to do with real estate? Let me tell you, it has to do with life. Here is what we learn in scripture. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. And whoever sows generously will also reap generously. You guys, we are in this life to help other people. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And I truly believe that you do reap what you sow. So giving back is a huge deal when it comes to being successful. And I honestly believe that when you give back, God can bless you abundantly because you're a giver. And those are the people that are going to thrive. Now, I realize you're doing a lot of work too, but God can bless those that bless others. Now, this can come in many formats. I know for me, doing this live training is one of the ways that I give back to other realtors. I give back by volunteering. And you guys, another way to give back, and a really good way as entrepreneurs, is to open your wallet. Okay? God needs money to fund his missions. Right? So we're in essence, marketplace missionaries, funding all the good things out there in the world. Okay. That's why we must be successful. So part of my big why is not only about my family, it's about helping you be successful so that all of us could be giving to good causes around this world that are moving our world in the right direction. Okay. And what's the point in being excessively wealthy if you're not doing anything good with the money? So I want you to make it part of your business model to give back. It'll do you some good too, not just everybody else. Trust me there. And it's going to bring so much joy into your life. Okay, you guys are doing so good. We are now going to recap all 10. Number 1, treat your business like a business. You can also, I'll put this full screen and you can screenshot this if you'd like. Number 2, daily lead generation should be a non-negotiable habit. Number 3, focus on your sphere. It is the foundation of your business. There is no category more important than sphere, as in do not pass go. Fix this before you fix any other marketing. Focus on your sphere. Number 4, reward your top referrers with a VIP program or a formalized customer appreciation program. Number 5, grow your sphere list. Because if your sphere doesn't grow, neither does your business. Number 6, be the boss of follow-up. Number 7, get leverage. So you can get some you time, some family time, some new lead generation, some breathing room, but yet you're still growing your business. Number 8, hold your expenses accountable to having a return on investment. Number 9, get a coach / mentor / community to pull yourself up. Number 10 is give back. Woo! You guys did awesome. That is our 10. Now I've got some resources for you here today, but my question I want to ask you is, if you were doing those 10 things, what would your business look like? Let me know in the chat. If you were to do the 10 things you learned today at a high level and you put some focus on that, what would your business look like? And more importantly, what would your personal life look like? What would you finally be able to do? I want you to take a second and really imagine this. What is your big why? Because you got into this business for something more than just you, for more than just a paycheck. Now, I realize, don't get me wrong, that a paycheck's important. We all need to pay the bills. We need to eat, right? But that alone isn't going to get you out of bed, get you excited to nail all 10 things today. What's going to get you excited is connecting to what your big why in life is. And if you're not sure what it is, well, think about, what is the reason that you must succeed? Why is it crucial that you succeed in your real estate business? What is that reason? Whatever that reason is probably your big why. It's why you have to achieve success. It's why when you fail, you keep going, because that why is really important, right? So if you'll connect to that and make that big why happen, the sky's the limit. The motivation's going to come about. For me, I have quite a few big whys, but I love to travel. Okay, I want to be a marketplace missionary and give to causes. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to travel with my husband. Okay? And when you really start to connect to those things, it's going to help you get zeroed in, hyper-focused, and have joy again around running your business, around being a profitable agent, around having non-negotiable habits that will lead to your success. So what does that look like for you? What would you finally be able to do if you were running these 10 things? If you're connected to that, let me ask you, are you ready to commit to them? Are you ready to commit to them? Because if you are, it's time for you to go through that list of 10 things and start recession-proofing your business today. Make it a priority to start taking them one at a time and start knocking them out like dominoes, because I believe in you. And I want you to succeed. Okay, you guys, let's get into some resources in case you need them. Of course, this replay is available here on our YouTube channel. We have a free digital training experience every single month. But if you want to have access to some of the resources that I was talking about today, this knowledge is free. However, convenience is not. Okay, so let me show you a few resources that I'm going to offer to you today. They were ones we talked about inside of the slides. The very first resource is a download. It is a checklist of the things that we talked about today, so that you can go through and knock those out, recession-proofing your business. The second resource is a download called the Ultimate Reconnect Scripts. This is for those of you that haven't talked to your sphere in a long time. You're afraid you're bothering them. Okay. You're afraid you sound salesy, then you need this download. It is awesome. The third one is the 150 lead source guide. This is where we have 150 different ideas on how to grow your sphere list, kind of like new pipelines of leads, so to speak. And you're going to pick those based on your personality style in this exercise. The fourth resource is going to be the ultimate referral formula. If you want to put focus on your sphere, which you've learned in number 3 is an absolute must, in this class, we will give you the exact marketing system that we use to generate continuous referrals from our sphere, and that is that class. And then number 5 is, of course, a recording of this class, which, yes, is available on our YouTube channel. But if you choose to purchase these resources, all 5 of these things will be in one place in our digital training vault, so to speak. So if you want to have access to that, again, knowledge is free, convenience is not. You can get all 5 of those things in one spot today for only $27. This helps us to fund our channel and these free classes and these resources for you. Okay, so for only $27, you can have access to all 5 of those. We are going to put a link in the chat of how you could take advantage of purchasing these resources. Again, it's all 5 of those things in one spot for only $27. Again, and we just want to thank those of you that are getting that. It's not only going to help your business, but it helps to fund our channel here and these free events. So you can grab that just by clicking on the link. And I want to thank all of you guys for joining me here today. And thank you for how awesome you are in the chat. I love it. You guys have been so good. Let me go down here. Oh, Latricia is ready to commit. I love it. You are committed to your big why. I love that. Okay, Dalton's got some other ones too. Okay, you guys, thank you for joining us today. Again, grab your resources for only $27 today. We tried to make that really a no-brainer expense to grab. Now what I'm going to do, for those of you that have to leave, have a great business day. I want to challenge you to take advantage of implementing these 10 things. And you can do that whether you have the resources or not. So commit to it and do it. You have all the knowledge. Go get her done. All right, now it's time for some live Q&A. And I'm going to go to the chat, and I will stick around for a few minutes and answer any questions that you guys might have. Now, by the way, if you are wanting to participate in the questions, this is going to be happening from our YouTube channel. We are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, but most of the questions are popping up from our YouTube channel. There is just a small delay. Ed, the link is right above for those downloads. Thank you for that. Latricia says she's trying to do it and having issues with it. By the way, guys, a secondary way, if for some reason too many people are trying to hit that at once, in case it's in case we're breaking the internet, you can also go to support.influentialagent.com and let them know that you're trying to buy those resources from today's class. But also the link is right above there. Okay. And do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? I'm checking. Let me check the chat also on the Facebook channel. I know, again, there is a slight delay, so I'll wait just a second in case you guys have any questions. Teresa just got hers. Hey, girl. Okay, Eric has a question. Did you mention something about private coaching? Excuse me. Okay, yes, Eric. We do here at Influential Agent have a coaching program, and we are helping agents to grow and scale their business in a massive way. It's one of our huge passions. So you can reach out to us. Go to support.influentialagent.com. Just let them know you want some information about coaching, and we'll get that sent out to you. Yes, we have coached over 1,000 agents. We're pretty excited about it. We are loving it. We have a huge tribe of agents that, again, the community is awesome. So we're helping people generate referrals. We're helping them up their game in video and in social media marketing and basically all the new school ways. Okay. I've been around almost 21 years had my real estate license, and I've done all the old school ways of marketing. But if we don't transform our lead gen into the new school way of marketing, then we're going to be left behind. So we are really passionate about helping agents do that and implement video and sphere marketing and social media marketing. Latrice, I'm so glad you were able to get in and purchase yours. Congrats. Thank you for that. I'm glad you told me so I know that everything's working well. Yes, thank you. You can book a strategy call, Eric. Thank you for putting that link up there. My team is so awesome. See, I have leverage, you guys, helping me with all these links. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? I'm checking out both channels. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Jill. Hey, Denise. Hey, Tanner. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. If you happen to be watching the replay of this, feel free to just comment below the YouTube video. You can also click in the links if you want the resources, or you can reach out to support.influentialagent.com, and we want to be there for you. All right, thank you for joining us today. We hope you join us for the next training. The date will be announced very soon right here on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can be notified anytime we post new live details for these monthly live digital training experiences. And tell a friend. Okay, friends don't let other friends do old school marketing when they could be doing new school marketing. So share with them. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.